I had dreamed about this moment for as long as I could remember. The freedom of owning my own car. Driving wherever I wanted, blasting music with the windows down, feeling the road stretch out before me. Growing up, I'd always had to rely on public transportation or the occasional ride from my parents. Watching my friends cruise around in their shiny cars made me yearn for that independence. But my family wasn't in a place to afford a car, and I learned early on to make do with what I had. But now, at 23, I was finally in a position to make it happen. I'd graduated from college, landed my first full-time job, and had been saving diligently for months. Every extra penny I earned went straight into my car fund. I cut back on anything I didn't absolutely need. Goodbye spontaneous brunches and weekly lattes. Every dollar was a step closer to my dream. And then, on a random Thursday evening, it happened. I was scrolling through my phone after a long day at work, aimlessly flipping between social media and emails, when an ad caught my eye. It was for a used car. Not just any car, a 2016 Ford Fiesta, in perfect condition. It was silver, small, and just the right size for me. The price was in my budget and it looked like a good deal. I clicked the link, heart racing as I stared at the pictures. The car wasn't new, but it looked well taken care of. It had a few dings on the side, but nothing that seemed like it would cause any problems. The seller listed the mileage as 50,000 miles, which seemed low for a car of that age. I couldn't believe it. Could this really be the one? I dialed the number on the ad, trying to keep my voice steady. A man named Tom answered, and we arranged to meet the next day to take a look at the car. I hung up the phone and immediately felt a mix of excitement and nerves. This could be it. I could finally buy my first car. That night, I hardly slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the car in my mind. What if it wasn't what I thought it would be? What if something was wrong with it? I had to remind myself that I had worked so hard for this. I had saved for months. I could do this. The next afternoon, I drove to the small family-owned dealership where the car was being sold. It was a quiet place. No flashy lights or pushy salespeople, just cars lined up and a couple of old mechanics working on engines in the background. When I pulled into the lot, I spotted the Fiesta under an overhang, the silver exterior gleaming despite the gray sky above. I took a deep breath. This was it. Tom, the seller, was waiting for me by the car. He was a middle-aged guy with gray hair and a warm smile. He looked like someone who had been around cars his whole life, his hands rough from years of work. "Hey Maya, you here to see the Fiesta?" he asked, his tone friendly. I nodded, trying not to let my excitement show too much. "Yeah, that's the one." He walked me over to the car, explaining a bit about its history. He'd gotten it from the original owner, who had kept up with the maintenance, and the car had been serviced regularly. He popped the hood, showing me the engine, and I listened closely, nodding even though I didn't understand half of what he said. But he was patient and I appreciated that. I wasn't ready to make any decisions just yet. I needed to take it for a test drive. "Do you want to take it for a spin?" Tom asked. "Yes, please," I said, trying to hide how eager I was. Tom handed me the keys and my heart skipped a beat. This was it. I was about to get behind the wheel of my first car. I took the keys, feeling the metal cool against my palm. I slid into the driver's seat, adjusting the mirrors and the seat until it felt just right. The car smelled like fresh leather and I couldn't help but smile as I ran my fingers over the steering wheel. This was real. I was in the driver's seat of my car. I started the engine, and the soft hum of the motor brought a wave of calm over me. The car was smooth, responsive. I shifted into drive and slowly pulled out of the lot, my heart racing with excitement. The road ahead seemed endless, and for the first time in forever, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The car handled beautifully. It was light and quick, and I could already imagine myself driving it down winding roads with the windows rolled down. The steering was effortless, and the engine purred like it was brand new. I drove through the streets, each turn making me feel more and more like I belonged behind the wheel. The world felt different from this side of the windshield. It felt like freedom. When I returned to the dealership, I handed Tom the keys and tried to keep my excitement in check. I didn't want to seem too eager, but I couldn't help it. I was already imagining the first road trip, the spontaneous drives, the ability to go wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted. "So, what do you think?" Tom asked, sensing my enthusiasm. I smiled, my heart still racing. "It's perfect." Tom grinned. "I thought you'd like it." We went inside to handle the paperwork. As he walked me through the process, I felt a sense of calm settle over me. This was happening. This was my car. I'd saved for this moment and now it was finally here. When I handed over the check, a mix of excitement and relief washed over me. It was official. The car was mine. Tom handed me the keys and I could hardly believe it. I was holding the key to my future, to my freedom. My first car. I slid into the driver's seat one last time and started the engine. The sky had cleared and the sun was starting to peek through the clouds. The air felt fresh and new. As I pulled out of the dealership lot, I took a deep breath, feeling like I was driving into a whole new chapter of my life. The road stretched out before me and for the first time, I wasn't just a passenger in my own life. I was in control. And it felt amazing. I didn't know where the road would take me, but I was ready for the ride. 2 weeks later, I was still buzzing with excitement. The car was mine and I couldn't stop telling everyone about it. My friends were all thrilled for me and I could see the envy in their eyes when they saw it for the first time. We were sitting in my apartment chatting over coffee when I had an idea that I couldn't shake. What if we all went on a road trip? I asked, a grin forming on my face. My friends stopped mid-conversation and turned to look at me. They knew how much this car meant to me, but the thought of a spontaneous road trip was too exciting to resist. A road trip? Where? Mia asked, raising an eyebrow. Anywhere, I said, feeling the excitement build in my chest. I've always wanted to take a drive down the coast, see some small towns, maybe even camp for a night or two. We could leave this weekend. Without hesitation, they all agreed. My car had become more than just a mode of transportation. It was now our gateway to adventure. We planned it all out that night, packing snacks, choosing a playlist, and deciding which stops to make along the way. The weekend arrived and the 5 of us piled into my new car, ready for our adventure. The moment we pulled onto the highway, windows down, music blasting, I couldn't stop smiling. It wasn't just the joy of driving, it was the sense of freedom, of being able to take off whenever I wanted, no questions asked. We drove for hours, laughing, talking about everything and nothing. We stopped for pictures at a lighthouse, grabbed greasy diner food in a tiny coastal town, and spent the night under a blanket of stars by a campfire. The car, my very first car, had become the vessel for memories I would cherish forever. I had dreamed of this moment for so long, of the freedom, of the adventure, and now it was all coming true.